The 7 words that Jesus spoke on the cross. Third meditation. Behold your mother, behold your son. The law in the Old Testament prohibited sacrificing a lamb with its mother on the same day, so that the poor animal would not be sacrificed by both maternal love and the sword used to slaughter it. Yet this law was not fulfilled on Calvary, where Jesus was delivered to the most cruel death in the presence of his mother. For while the son sacrifices himself, the mother is likewise sacrificed by the sword of sorrow, piercing her soul, as foretold by the prophet Simeon, and thy own soul a sword shall pierce. Before Jesus breathes his last into the hands of his Father, consider, O my soul, at the moment when, reduced to the utmost extremity, he casts his weakened gaze towards the foot of his cross and meets his mother's eyes. O painful gaze, you are like a sword that pierces 2 hearts at once. Then Jesus, fixing his dying eyes on Mary, feels moved to give her the sweet name of Mother. But fearing that this name might increase her sorrow, and also to indicate to the world that Mary had become, like her admirable courage, that strong woman spoken of by Solomon in his Proverbs, he says to her, Woman, the hour of my death has come, but before consummating this great sacrifice, before breathing my last into the hands of my Father, my love and charity require that I remember you and my beloved disciple. Therefore, as your son is about to die, let John become your son and take my place beside you. Behold, your son. Then showing his mother to his disciples, he adds, John, you who were my dearest friend, take care of my mother as the most precious of all treasures. Consider her as your own mother. Behold, your mother. Thus exclaims Mary, surrounded on all sides by an ocean of sorrows. Thus, in a few moments, Jesus, the sole object of my love, will no longer be my son, and John will be left to me in his place. Thus, in a few moments, I will cease to be the mother of a God-man, to become the mother of a mere mortal. Oh, what a change, says the holy abbot of Clairvaux. What a change! Mary receives John in place of Jesus, the servant in place of the master, the son of Zebedee in place of the Son of God, a man in place of a God. Seeing that this thought overwhelms his mother and reduces her to the extreme, Jesus says to her in the depths of his heart, No, my beloved, it will not be so. I have chosen you as my mother from among all the daughters of Zion, and you will be so eternally. But as death is soon to snatch me from your sight, John will take my place beside you. He will regard you as his mother, and because my death will afflict him more than all others, I ask you to consider him as your son. Behold, your son. This inward and secret word strengthens and consoles Mary, but what bitter sorrow she is soon plunged again when, looking once more at her son, alas, she sees, throughout his entire body, only the livid wounds inflicted by the scourging, and when she sees his blood flowing from all his members. Unable to bear this sight, she lowers her tear-filled eyes to the foot of the cross and sees the ground soaked with his blood. Her son's executioners pass before her, and she sees their garments soaked with this precious blood. Their sacrilegious hands are stained with it. Under her eyes they trample this forever adorable blood spilled on the ground. O precious blood, she cries, why do I see you thus despised and trodden underfoot? Then casting her eyes again on her beloved, she sees that not knowing where to rest his head, entirely surrounded by thorns, he sometimes leans it on the throne of the cross, and sometimes inclines it on his chest, already chilled by death. While his head is thus bowed, she sees his eyes dimmed, his lips parched, his divine face covered with a mortal pallor. She hears his sobs, Ah, she exclaims, all this indicates to me that my son is soon to expire. Making a final effort of tenderness, she extends her arms and she raises her hands as if to give him one more kiss, but this consolation is denied her. Like the ivy that tightly clings to the plant it loves, or like the vine that coils around its support, she embraces the cross and says to it, O cross, on which my beloved is about to breathe his last, cross that supports within your arms the God whom I acknowledge as my Father, my Son, and my spouse, I press you tenderly to my breast. O torment of Mary, how cruel you are! Mary's pain in this moment is undoubtedly very great and far surpasses all that one can imagine. We must therefore strive to arouse in our hearts the tenderest compassion towards her. But what immense advantage and consolation must we not hope to derive from this third word of Jesus on the cross? The Holy Fathers commonly think that Jesus, in giving his disciples to his mother, wanted her to regard all of us equally as her adopted children in his person. It is indeed consoling for us, says St. Bernard, to think that Mary is our mother and that she regards us with love as her children, knowing that we are all redeemed at the price of the precious blood of her Son, the blood he once drew from her veins. Therefore, let us show by our actions that we are worthy to be regarded by her as her true children. Otherwise, this most holy Virgin might well address to us the words she spoke one day to a man named John. This man greatly desired to be regarded by Mary as her child, although he rendered himself very unworthy by his conduct. Passing one day in front of one of her images, he addressed to her this beautiful prayer of the Church. Show that you are my mother. Monstrate esse matrem. Ah, ungrateful one, replied Mary, show yourself by your conduct that you are my child, and then I will prove to you by my powerful protection that I am truly your mother. Monstrate esse filium et abebis in me matrem. O my soul, so that Mary never addresses these reproaches to you, strive to prove not only by your words, but also by your conduct that you earnestly desire to have Mary as your mother. For this, above all, be perfectly faithful to the law of God, and fulfill all your duties exactly. For this is primarily what true devotion consists of. Then imitate the virtues of Mary, and particularly her constant resignation to the will of the Lord. Be filled with tender compassion for her sufferings. In a word, prove to her that you are truly her child, and be sure that during your life and at the hour of death, she will have for you all the tenderness of a mother. Prayer to the Most Holy Virgin. O Most Holy Virgin, who can ever express what was your pain when your beloved Son told you that, being near death, he was leaving John in his place? John was certainly dear to you, but he was not Jesus. Therefore, I should not be surprised that when speaking to the women of Jerusalem who sympathized with your sorrow, you said to them, O my friends, everything has become for me a subject of suffering here below. I cannot even lift my eyes without my soul being filled with bitterness, because I do not see Jesus. We also feel a very deep compassion for you, but we console ourselves by thinking that you have adopted all of us as children in the person of John. Make us prove ourselves worthy of this by our words and our conduct, so that you may have for us the sentiments of a mother now and at the hour of our death. Amen. If you have enjoyed this sermon, please donate at this GoFundMe link to help us restore our church in Belfast. May God bless you for your generosity.